Why stories? What is a story? Story essentials, types of stories, storytelling strategies, and how to improve your storytelling skills. In this brief presentation, you are going to garner a lot of information. So let's just get on with it. Why stories? Research studies confirm what we all know intuitively. Stories are powerful. We observe that power when we dry our eyes as the house lights go up, when we go to a play, we attended a play, a movie, or when we put down a book we have been reading, or when a tragedy plays out on the news. It causes one to hold our loved ones just a little closer. If you want to break down walls, people are truly connect with people and make an impact, storytelling is for you. It is imperative to have a well-crafted story. Research states that there is a nature and a nurture argument behind why stories are so effective. We are immersed in stories well before we are born. Some mothers and fathers tell stories to their unborn child in utero. We are all raised on bedtime stories or some type of fable or fairy tale. Worldwide, it is projected in 2021, this year, that we will spend at least $127 million on books, movies, music, and games. Think about this. Think about $127 million alone. Now, if stories aren't powerful, I do not know. The average adult watches approximately 35 hours of TV per week, at least in the United States. Stories are embedded in our consciousness. When someone says they're going to tell us a story, we already have a preconceived notion of what that story should look like, what it should sound like. Most likely, our thoughts are that the story will follow a familiar pattern, such as a setup, a climax, and the resolution. Even our brains are hardwired for stories. Multiple studies have shown that stories have a unique effect on the brain. Neuroeconomist Paul Zak found that stories cause the brain to produce oxytocin, a chemical related to feelings of empathy and other feelings that help build a stable society. Therefore, research studies confirm what we all know. Stories are powerful. What is a story? The simplest form of a story is a character in pursuit of a goal in the face of some challenge, obstacle, or adversity. And I was going to say diversity, but adversity. It is how the character tries to resolve the challenge which drives the narrative. Now, you could also say that the fourth element to a story structure is the resolution. All in all, the character must overcome a challenge to achieve a goal that must be resolved in some way. Can you think of a story? Can you think of a story where you had a goal and you had adversity, you had a challenge, but you were able to resolve that problem or that problem to reach your goal? Do you have a story like that? I'm sure we all could tell our stories. Some storytelling essentials. A story must have a character, a goal, a challenge. These three things make up the three legs of a stool. Without these three legs, you don't have a story. An example, in Romeo and Juliet, our stories are about two naive young lovers. Their goal is to be together, and their challenge they face is the blood feud that divides their families. Now, you can say they resolved the story or not. They resolved the challenge because they ended up together, even in death. So think on that. You need to have a character with a goal. You need to have some obstacle or challenge, and the character tries to resolve the challenge to resolution. Types of stories. There are all kinds of stories. Stories for business, stories for inspiration, stories for interviews. And this is something you need to have in your tool belt. The stories, like there's 6 types of stories you should have on hand for your dream job. So, for instance, you should have a story when you solved a problem, when you overcame a challenge, when you made a mistake, when you worked as a leader, when you worked with a team, or when you did something interesting like climb the dunes, river falls in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, or when you went paragliding or whale watching, something interesting. But these stories evoke so much and they tell about the storyteller. Storytelling strategies. Determine who you are trying to reach, first of all. And then who is your audience? Find out as much as possible about them. It's not enough to say, I'm going to do a presentation and you know nothing about the audience. So you must do your research. And then what is your goal? What is it that you want your audience to do? Do you want them to work more efficiently, buy a product or a service? Think through the challenge that you may get it, that challenges that may get in the way of your goal. For instance, like lack of funds, maybe distrust, lack of leadership. Find a character that who has overcome those specific challenges, such as a successful fundraiser, or a fundraiser, in spite of the obstacles that were in their path, they still were able to raise the funds. Or, for example, a young leader who overcame naysayers. Make sure that there is a resolution to your story, to your compelling story. Now, how to improve your storytelling skills. Do your research. Think hard on who is your audience. Think about their needs, their likes, their dislikes. What do they want? Why do they come here? What do they want from you? What is it that they would take their time and energy to come see you or listen to you? It is not enough to know your goal. It's imperative to know your audience's goal. And I asked, why are they here? What drives them? Do they want to raise, like in the last slide we discussed about, do they want to raise funds? Do they want peace? Is it that they want some hope? Because there, as we discussed, there's different stories, inspirational ones for business. So you have to know who your audience is to give them the right kind of story. A good storyteller has a good read on their audience, about their perceptions, their doubts, their thoughts, about even about you, the presenter. A good storyteller can disarm even a skeptic or address the elephant in the room. Telling the right story can knock down your audience or people's objections, because if they don't know you, they will have some objections. It's okay to be over the top as long as it is imaginable to the audience. So again, know your audience, identify who they are. They may be an employee, a customer, a volunteer, a donor, or even your next employer. Ensure that you understand your audience. Do not rely on your assumptions, because you know what they say about assumptions. What do you have in common with your audience? You need to create a bridge. What do you have in common with them? Important to know what drives us apart. It is equally important to know what are our differences so that you can find that common ground. And know your material. Everyone has a story, and it is time for you to tell your story. What we reviewed in this brief segment was, what is a story, storytelling essentials, types of stories, storytelling strategies, how to improve your storytelling skills. And it is my hope that this was helpful and will give you some idea on the next time you need to tell a story. And I'll be excited to know, what type of stories did you tell? How did it help you? And so I will see you again soon. And so be thinking about some stories that you can tell. Until next time, have a great day, a great evening. Talk to you soon. Bye bye.